This is Wadu TV. Truth and integrity.
Abusia ma emo bibia kwa ban family Wadu TV so you best show first time na subscribe na like video no comment e ho hia na wagya atom na fa wi na wa share my intensem wo eye Paul Adom Otchere akache endra na amampanyi ebo ne cabinet ministers meche cabinet a ono mo bedi nkomo edane de nyina on be meeting no ma hu adwen oman no ho kwan betimi afa so oman be kodi nim finance minister, education minister, health minister, security national security minister, interior minister mo nyina aka ho bia omo ebehwa boa na cabinet meeting no akokokoso na Paul Adom Otchere fire de afa ho. Yes, wa fire e de afa san no mani nyina ho. We anu su esinchen a wa fire de akọ yewra Alexander Afonyomaken na nsembe ho eno so fire na kakra akọ. Now wayek still na amanfo mo cho wase no student bebrina sanka mo resource wayek promise ye say last month. Yes, ombe drop it. Say last month me why ena o promise yes ombe drop it a resource no up to now resource ne mai mpanyefu bia kasa dia fa na yenkote.
So Fosu Kwache today has announced the President Mahama's decision of who and whom will be part of his cabinet. 19 ministers from cabinet as dictated by the Republican Constitution of 1992. John Mahama, President of Ghana, with a good heart, made this statement during the campaign. At least 30% of my cabinet will be women if elected in 2024 elections. That was September 2024. President John Dramani Mahama, the elected president, said this, that 30% of his cabinet will be women. Today, Felix Fosu Kwache announced the women, and unfortunately, President Mahama could not make the promise. Why are we all failing in this promise? Professor Mills failed in this promise. Nana Akufo-Addo didn't quite promise, but he became a gender champion, trying hard to push women in. But Nana Akufo-Addo didn't have a cabinet of 30% women, but he was the African gender champion. The question we are asking civil society today is that why are our politicians eager to promise that they will do something for women? Is it because the demographic shows that women have more voters? Because all our politicians promise that they will do something for women, they never are able to do it. I don't think President Mahama didn't want to do it. I'm sure when he arrived at the office, the circumstances dictated otherwise. So this is what he said. 30% of cabinet will be women. We announced to you tonight that he's broken his first promise. Now let's see why. Okay, it's here again, captured by GH1. 30% of my cabinet will be women. John Mahama, NDC flag bearer. Within the first 14 days of my presidency, I will nominate my cabinet, 30% of whom will be women. First 14 days of his presidency has also been missed. Cabinet was announced today, and so President Mahama, but that's not important. We can leave that. What we are concerned is how come that President Mahama, who really wanted to do this, was not able to do it? Is it that this party doesn't have enough women? Is it that there are not enough women he could have nominated to have 30% in his cabinet? I don't know why. The women groups should come and ask him why. Okay, so this is the cabinet. Congratulations to King Salatu Forsen, Finance Minister, Mubarak Muntaka, Interior Minister, Kwabena Minta Akando, Health Minister, Dr. Omane Boama Edward, Defense Minister. And then you have Dominic Ayini, Attorney General, John Abdullahi Jinapo, about whom we have a conversation tonight. Tonight, we have a big conversation with John Abdullahi Jinapo coming up as our second story, so just wait for it. John Jinapo, congratulations. He is Minister for Energy and Green Transition. Drisu Haruna, Minister for Education. Elizabeth Fosu Ajare, Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. She's one of the women. And then Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Minister, Foreign Affairs. Emmanuel Amako Fibua, Minister, Lands and Natural Resources. Eric Opoku, Minister, Food and Agriculture. Please, has the cocoa price thing stood, or is there, what is happening? Eric Opoku got a bloody nose when the chief executive of Cocoa Board, our own Randy Abe, told the minister, stop misinforming people. Stop that. Tonight we'll deal with that story. Minister says 70%, Cocoa Board says stop misinforming people. That was on Tuesday. We don't know the latest. We'll find out. There's a cabinet meeting today, and I'm hoping that cabinet has something to say about that. All right. Next is Samuel Nate George, who is Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations. And then The list continues. Kwame Govins-Abuja, who has a very special relationship with Metro TV and GH1, he's Minister of Roads and Highways. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. Ken Ajay Gilbert is Minister for Works, Housing and Water Resources. Ahmed Ibrahim is Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Then the next woman is Agnes Na Momolate. Congratulations to her. She is Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. Joseph Bukari Nikwe is Minister for Transport. Abdul Rashid H. Pelpo, Minister for Works, Housing and Water Resources. So at the end of the day, there are 2 women out of 19 ministers times 100%. The answer you get is 10.526 or 10.53. This is the broken promise of John Dramani Mahama. Sorry, sir. It can be very, very, very difficult. We know that you wanted to do it. Perhaps as part of your 4-year term, we'll get to the point where you'll be able to achieve this objective. But for now, to the show, and thank you very much for your attention. So in the next 40 days or so, as media, we'll be considering President Mahama's first 120 days social contract with the people of Ghana. Resetting Ghana, jobs, accountability, and prosperity. This was the winning campaign of the NDC, resetting Ghana in 120 days. Now, this document contains the things that President Mahama says he will do in 120 days. We've already showed you the first broken promise. Cabinet was not announced in 14 days, and cabinet was not announced with a 30% women. I'm not so sure whether the journalist put the question to Felix Ofosu-Kwakye today when he did his press conference, but that's a question that really should have come. I wasn't there. I guess it came. I don't know what Felix's answer was. But so we're going to be looking at this first 120 days of the President, John Dramani Mahama, broken promises or fulfilled promises. That's coming up much later, about 30 days. We're working on it. We're observing it. We have a barometer that is calculated. That's why this evening we're able to quickly see that this promise has been broken. Sorry to the President, and hopefully next time will be better. Now let's talk about ECG. Very, very important. So Minister John Jinapor has arrived, and all right, do you want me to go through the photographs of the protagonists I'll be dealing with? Maybe I should do that. Yes, okay. So on this ECG story, let's go back. I'll go through all of them. And I hope you have the long list, not the 3 of them, the long list. Okay, yes, that one. So let me start from the beginning. Now, I'm going to talk about ECG tonight. It's very, very important. Don't just 7 minutes, I'll be done. But I'm worried because the Puyu is very worried tonight. And they are worried that the government of John Dramani Mahama is preparing to privatize the electricity company of Ghana. And they said it's not a good idea. It's terrible. It's bad. It will cost us so much money. It will make some people very rich. Majority of Ghanaians will pay so much for electricity. All of us, our pockets will be drained away if John Dramani Mahama proceeds to privatize ECG. Now, who are the key actors in this conversation? His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama. Next after him, of course, the most important person, Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Abdullahi Jinapor. Then there is Edudzi Tamaklo, is the Chief Executive of the MPA, and later on I'll be telling you maybe next week how you can get petrol coupons from him. I'll tell you that NDC full soldiers, you can get petrol coupons from Edudzi. I'll tell you how. All right, and then there is the VRA Chief Executive also. He's in the picture as well. Madam Hardcastle is at the Petroleum Commission, and that also has something to do with this. Now there's Alexander Mould has just been appointed as the boss of MIDA, the Millennium Development Corporation. They are very important in this ECG privatization. It's a rigmarole that I'm going to explain to you tonight. Don't worry, it's coming. It's all coming. These are the key actors: Alex Mould, Hardcastle, VRA boss, Tamaklo, Jinapor, and His Excellency the President. Okay, let's get to the VRA story at the beginning. So let's leave all this out. Now let's get to the story. All right. So the question we ask, what is the problem? Now, the minister has said that he wants to privatize ECG. So let's begin the story with PDS. So MIDA and PDS. So MIDA was an important part of the whole PDS arrangement. What was the PDS arrangement? PDS was an arrangement that was inherited by the Akufo-Addo administration in 2017. It was an arrangement that was put together in 2016. It was inherited by the Akufo-Addo administration. What was PDS going to do? PDS was being set up to take up ECG. They were going to take up the most important commercial aspects of ECG's work. They will do that as a private company. They come in, they take a concession, they run the ECG, take their money, go away. And when they are running ECG, they will determine for PULC a few things, how much to pay and all of that. The question at that time was this was not necessary. Akufo-Addo and important members of his government decided that they will not privatize ECG. Ghana must have ECG. ECG can be fixed. We'll keep the lights on. We'll not privatize ECG. And they departed from what they had inherited with PDS. Why are people smelling the rats right now? I'll tell you why. There's a gentleman, a very clever gentleman. They'll put his photograph there in a minute. You see him. Yes, I'm referring to this very clever gentleman, very intelligent man. Now, he was the COO of PDS. I'll get his name in a minute. Where's my small paper? Aha, good. Mr. Julius Pequena, that's his name. Mr. Julius Pequena is a very intelligent man and he's an asset to Ghana, okay? Now, who is Julius Pequena? Julius Pequena was the COO of MIDA, the chief executive of MIDA. He was the CEO of MIDA. MIDA is the Millennium Development Corporation. They were part of PDS. There's an American angle looking at privatizing things so that it can work efficiently. All the things that we, the capitalists, talk about, which is, in essence, might not be good for a country like Ghana. But he's very well versed in these things. Now, this is how the rat was smelled. He was COO of MIDA at the time when this conversation was happening. When Akufo-Addo became president, he wasn't CEO of MIDA anymore. Now, he's been appointed as a chief executive of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG. As soon as Mr. Julius Pequena was appointed, everybody said, wait a minute, we don't want PDS anymore. Why are they bringing Julius Pequena to ECG? Yes, a very intelligent man, but they don't want him at ECG because once he comes to ECG, privatization is going to happen. Now, let's move on with the conversation. Okay, so here's ECG MD. President John Mahama is the president and John Mahama is the minister. Now, as soon as Mr. Mahama became president, he started complaining about power and generation and all of that. So the ECG privatization seems to be a clear agenda. Today, the Workers' Union of the ECG, the Power Union Workers Association, they are called PUWU. They went to meet with Mr. Jinapo and told him that they don't want ECG privatization. And then some of us got wind of what happened in the meeting and everything. But we also know the full story. Let's get you the full story over here. How does power get distributed in Ghana? That's very simple. So this is the way in which power gets distributed in Ghana. So up here is the fuel supply. You can also call it the gas supply. So anybody who supplies fuel is up here. If for some reason the government of Ghana is buying fuel from you, you are Allied Oil or you are Fraga Oil or you are Shell, you all come to fuel supply. So from fuel supply, it goes over to the generators. That is, the fuel goes into the generators. So I saw Glee Power Plant, Senate Power, Sen Power, Aska, is it Aska? Yes, ASK. Yes, all of them, they are generators, okay? So then they come to the transmitter, which is Grid Co. So Grid Co will then transmit, mind you, this part, this transmitter and the distribution all used to be ECG. All that used to be ECG, okay? So the generators are all of them, including VRA. VRA sits here because they also have TICO in Takoradi is VRA, and some of the generators are under VRA. And then Hydro, which doesn't use fuel, but it also generates, is also under VRA, okay? So that comes to transmission. Gridco is a transmitting platform that is done, and then it goes to the distribution, and the distribution is by ECG, comes to your house, comes to my house, goes to your former secondary school at the Saddle, goes to my former secondary school, Prese, goes to your grandmother in Atibubu, goes to my grandmother in Yamuase, and all of that. So this is how it works. All right. What is the government intending to do? Let's move on. So government wants to hand over billing, payment and collection to a private company. But why should we do that? I mean, why in God's name should we hand over the Electricity Company of Ghana's payment, collection, and billing to a private company that is coming in from somewhere? It's not Ghanaian. No Ghanaian businessman is going to benefit. Just come and take over ECG, and they will go and bill. They will collect the money from us, and they will make the payments. That's it. That's all they are going to do. They're going to bring in meters and all of that. So the issue against the privatization is the government must explain what is wrong with ECG now. What is the privatization going to cure? From what the PUWU are saying, the privatization is going to cure nothing. It's just going to make the lives of Ghanaians worse. For a government that has run on the back of social contract, a left-wing government comes into government and privatizes ECG. Please tell Ambassador Kwesi Pratt and the Socialist Forum that I'm going to hound them until I hear their view about this ECG privatization. Because if this was happening in MPP era, Kwesi Pratt will be on Good Morning Ghana and say that we will never allow the privatization of ECG. He would have said it. Today, his daughter is in the office of the vice president. Government wants to privatize ECG. Kwesi Pratt says he hasn't heard it. Kwesi Pratt has not heard that the government of the NDC wants to privatize ECG. I have been following Kwesi Pratt for 25 years. He's a socialist. He's against privatization. And I'm telling you that if this was MPP, you come on Good Morning Ghana, he can even come on Good Evening Ghana. We will not allow the privatization of the ECG by the government. The workers of this country are going to rise up against it. That's what Kwesi Pratt would have said. Today, we have not heard him. We have not heard anything from Kwesi Pratt. Electricity Company of Ghana is being privatized. Socialist Forum says they haven't heard it. We have heard it, and we are going to say what we have to say. All right. So, but didn't ECG try to resolve revenue losses with a loss reduction project in 2022, 23, and 24? All right. This is the catch on this one. So ECG was getting losses, and then they decided that they were going to have a loss reduction project. There's a young man there who was doing very well. Incidentally, his name is Mahama. The guy who was at ECG, his surname is Mahama. I've forgotten his first name. But in during his time, they did this. Okay, what did this achieve? From the records that we have seen, this was a policy to decide that meters, is a big part of the ECG conversation. So they wanted the meters to be manufactured in Ghana so that it cuts off a lot of the cost. So they brought a policy where if you want to do meters for ECG, you have to have a company domiciled in Ghana, and then you manufacture it from Ghana. And then when you manufacture it, ECG gives you an area, say Teshi Tebibiano, where I live. So you go to Teshi Tebibiano, and then you go and install your meters. When the ECG recognizes within a number of days, month, that Teshi Tebibiano revenue has increased, then they now believe that the meters that you supplied is the reason for the increase in revenue. It is then that they begin to pay you. Now, this process, do we have the figures? Yes, this process led to an increase in revenue of about $1 billion, showing a jump from 500 million per month, one single month, to 1.5 billion in revenue for ECG. Viewers, look at this. This is correct. This is happening. That this led, the revenue losses about getting meters to occur here, getting meters to be manufactured here, gave a revenue jump from 500 million to 1.5 billion, almost a 1 billion jump. The PURC says that this could be better. PURC says that based on this arrangement that ECG brought up, they should have been picking up 2 billion instead of 1.5 billion. They found out, however, that the shortfall is as a result of government agencies that don't remit ECG the way they have to. So ministries don't pay, some universities, secondary school, etc., etc. In any case, this brought 1.5 billion. So this looked like a policy that they should continue. Now, there's something interesting going on here that you have to see. There's something very interesting going on here that is also bringing the smelling of the rats. This document I have here shows that the demand-supply balance and fuel requirements to mitigate deficits. So it's about fuel requirements. How much fuel do we need? In December 2024, the MPP government's handing over notes said that generally in total, all over the country, we are consuming at peak time 3,953 megawatts of power. That's what we are consuming in December, as according to the document. We have been told by the Minister for Energy that our consumption is something in the region of 4,400. The question that we might use an RTI to ask the Minister for Energy is that what happened? Why is the 3,953 megawatts wrong, as was projected by Akufo-Addo's government in their handing over notes? How did we jump from 3,953 to 4,400? Now, viewers, do you know why that is important? That's important because the minister is telling us that he's going to take our taxpayers' money to import fuel so that we don't have doomso. And he's importing fuel, according to the Honorable Jinapo, he's importing fuel for 4,400. But the cost, the megawatts that we have is 3,953. So why is he importing fuel for 400 megawatts more? That's a conversation we need to ask him. Do you know what the industry experts are telling us? The industry experts are telling us that is something that is as they say, is, I don't know what word to use. But you're supposed to import fuel for 3,953. If the government imports fuel for 4,400, there's some fuel there that the 3,900 doesn't need. What's going to happen to that fuel which has been bought by taxpayers' money? Now, that's a lot of fuel. It's not like my Hyundai car or your Toyota car. No. It's proper fuel, plenty. They are talking about megawatts for electricity generation. So 400 megawatts of fuel needed for 400 can fill your tank, my tank, for 10 years. So it's a lot of fuel. Your taxpayers' money is going to buy it. The minister comes and says, we are going to buy for 4,400. And journalists are not asking that, wait a minute. NPP said 3,953. When did we move from December to January that we are now consuming more? The Honorable Minister Jinapo said so. He has to come and say how he came by the 4,400. All right, so this is just to show you that we are getting concerned about something. Now, we are suspecting that the PDS arrangement is going to come back. That's the same arrangement. It's going to come back. And we are worried about it because this PDS thing is very dangerous. And the MPP, the NDC campaigned that the MPP should have kept the PDS. I don't know whether people remember when they call it PDS scandal. The PDS scandal was that government said we cannot go on this PDS thing. These people are bringing some insurance that is questionable. I don't want to say much about that because it's before an arbitration panel. The PDS have sued and the ECG are with them in an arbitration panel. The government of Akufo-Addo strenuously argued that the insurance something, I don't want to say it because it's before an arbitration, that insurance something should be looked at. You know, I'm just using mild words. And so that's before arbitration. Now we get the sense that this whole arrangement is just a way that NDC is back to power, so PDS back. What is PDS? Get some friends of the big politicians, bring them in. They have formed a company called PDS. The company doesn't have a leg in Sudan and doesn't have an arm anywhere, but they form it anyway. They come, ECG signs a contract with them. They take over everything ECG, and they say they are doing billing, collection, and repayments. They will be given a sum of money, and then they are gone away. They share with the politicians, and that's what they call corruption. Corruption in high places. Corruption without tears. Corruption with tears. That's what it is. There's nothing more, nothing less. This is what it is. What is standing at ECG that as soon as the government arrives, the first pronouncements they are making, we are going to sell ECG. Where is the crisis? Ask the minister, where is the crisis that we are going to sell ECG? We are going to, a socialist government comes to power and the first thing they do is not to give free SHS food. It's not to give water. It's not to talk about national health insurance. We are going to revive the national health insurance. The socialist government comes and they are doing privatization. Are they a capitalist government? What is happening? Are they a capitalist government? A socialist government arrives in Ghana. The first thing is we are going to sell ECG. Sell ECG for what? Why? Why do you have to sell ECG? If you ask the minister, then what's happening in a meeting today? It was almost fights. It was blows. The union says, no way. Show us how, what's the problem with ECG that you want to sell it? It is just cronyism and making money. That's it. People have come to power and they think that, Charlie, bring our friends back. Let's cut a deal and do something. You know, that's what they're doing. Now, this document here will show you the kind of contract that had been prepared for PDS. Now, in the contract for PDS, the government of Ghana is correcting everything that ECG complains about in the contract for PDS. So that in the relationship with ECG, government doesn't care. But in the relationship with PDS, government is interested in protecting PDS's business interest. Government is not interested in protecting ECG's interest, but as soon as a private person comes into ECG, the government of Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana is interested in protecting the private person's interest. Let's see. Now, in this document, which is the PDS regulation, it's in section 6.2 of the GSA that provides as follows. They call something condition precedent 4, okay? And it is, they say that any change in law or change in tax, that in either case has a material adverse effect on PDS, and the company is not able to recover all of the portions, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, in effect, what they say is this. Let me step back and read it well. The Ghana government shall compensate PDS for such reduced revenues, increased costs. I'm reading at the last 3 lines. So, you can read with me. Company is authorized to charge end users, comma. Now, after the comma, let's read. Then Ghana shall compensate the company, which is PDS, for such reduced revenues, increased cost, or additional tax liabilities through prompt and effective compensation. Now, do you know what they are talking about here? They are telling PDS in the contract that was abrogated, which we think they are bringing back. They are telling PDS that if you give PURC charges. You know, ECG gives PURC how much they should charge us. But PURC will look at it and decide. Sometimes they don't charge us what ECG wants them to charge us. Now, ECG is doing the analysis based on revenue, and it's a profit and loss analysis, okay? It's a P&L. So ECG are saying that, look, this is what we need to get. So if you charge the customer this, we can run. So that when the thing comes to PURC will look at it and add a human face to it and decide that, no, you can't charge that. Now, this document is saying that in the case of PDS, if that were to happen, which happens every time, the PURC doesn't give ECG what they are looking for. If that were to happen, compensation will be paid to PDS. Can you imagine that, viewers? We do a contract like this for PDS, that's a private company that has political friends, but the ECG, when they give PURC a figure, and PURC are not able to do it, no compensation is paid to ECG. And then ECG is making losses. And then we make ECG make losses so that we can sell it to our friends and pocket a lot of money. Is that what politics is about? Is that what winning elections is about? Why does anybody come to power and say, I want to sell ECG? You will sell ECG to who? It will never happen. ECG belongs to the people of Ghana. You cannot sell it. If you and your friends want to make money, go and do a farm. You will make a lot of money or do something. But you cannot touch what belongs to the people of Ghana that I'm selling it. Why selling it to who? It will never happen. That's your ECG. It won't happen. What are you talking about? You come and sell ECG. You are a socialist government. You are selling the state assets. And Kwesi Pratt, he hasn't heard it. I see. Okay. VRA sells to Sonambel. Togo, La Côte d'Ivoire. Gridco sells to Togo and La Côte d'Ivoire. ECG sells to Ghanaians in cedis and does not earn any foreign exchange. Now, let me explain this to you, viewers. Every day you say ECG is broke, ECG is broke, ECG is broke, let's sell it. VRA is never broke. Gridco is never broke. Do you know why? Because ECG sells petrol power to us, they distribute it to us in cedis. So 1 cedi per megawatt, 2 cedi per megawatt. They collect cedis from us. And then they go and change it in dollars at the Bank of Ghana and pay the IPPs dollars. They collect cedis and pay dollars. One day they are sitting down, the cedi has moved from 8, 10, 12, 15, 16. We don't know what's happening tomorrow. We anticipate that there will be no further devaluation of the cedi. We thank God for that and we pray for that. We know that John Mahama can do it, so let's wait. But look at the cedis zigzag that he's been doing up until now. You tell ECG that anybody, even if you are Elon Musk, and you are told to sell power in cedis, change it to dollars, and pay IPPs in dollars, even Elon Musk will run losses. But the same arrangement allows VRA to sell power abroad and collect dollars. What does VRA need the dollars for? Yes, every company needs dollars, but ECG needs it more because ECG is going to pay the bill, the debt of Senate power, Sem power, Asogli power is put on ECG's head. So every day ECG is looking bad. Why can't ECG also be allowed to sell power to Sonabel in Côte d'Ivoire, Sonabel in Burkina, Côte d'Ivoire, etc., etc.? And the other question we're going to ask in our second presentation, how do we have portions of Ghana in Dumso, but Ghana power is being sold to Burkina and there's light in Ouagadougou and there's darkness in Teshi? There's light in Ouagadougou from Ghana's power. They say Kwame Nkrumah signed some contract in 1959, so that is, we can't do anything about it. Do you know why? Because people make money from that. Not just the states, individuals make money from that. That's why there's darkness in Teshi, but there's light in Ouagadougou from Ghana. The Ouagadougou light is from Burkina. It's from Akosombo. It's from Akosombo. It's in Burkina. Then if you go to Akosombo, Atimpoku is light off, but Burkina is on. Why do we do this to our country? Why? You see, that's why the white people look at us and they say, oh, these people, are they okay? America, this will never happen in America. That there will be darkness in America and American light will power in Mexico. Really? Why? The Bible says, love thy neighbor as thyself. It didn't say love thy neighbor more than thyself. But we do that because somebody in there is making money with a politician. That is it. Nothing more, nothing less. So your darkness, call your friends in Ouagadougou. There's lights. They are watching the Real Madrid and Manchester City. You can't go and watch. You have to travel from Teshi. You have to go all the way to Mamprobi to go and watch it. Because Mamprobi is where there's light. This is the situation. So the point we are making is that this whole ECG conversation is human beings' hands that is turning ECG around. Then they come and tell us that, oh, ECG is broke. It's hurting the country. We are spending, let's sell it. Then they call their friend, Mr. Thompson in UK, please come over. And then Mr. Scott in New York, come over. They form PDS. They take the ECG. They share the millions. They are gone away. It will not happen this time. I heard somebody enjoy this morning, this evening, a lady. She was a teacher. She said, she was speaking on top of her voice. He said, democracy has now come to Ghana. We will ensure that when governments come, they cannot do what they like. You can't take the people's power and sack teachers. What is wrong with you? You come and take people's power and say you are sacking them. You are using the state power that was given to you against the people. I read David Ofosu-Dorte this evening. He said in Ghana, governments only know how to show power. They don't know how to use it. This power thing, it will not happen. You come and sell ECG. You come to power, you take ECG and sell it. Then you and your friends share money. Go and buy houses abroad and come and tell us that we are a poor country. You were telling us that somebody is corrupt. Yesterday, you were telling us that Samira is holding back, she's corrupt. You come to power and you want to sell the state assets. The Samira that you said she's corrupt, she didn't tell us she wants to sell state assets. The Akufo-Addo that you said is corrupt, he came and you were selling ECG. He said, I'll stop it. You can't sell ECG. Akufo-Addo stopped it. Then you come and say Akufo-Addo is a criminal. And you heard the president today, he said the economy has been managed criminally. We are waiting for the details to come out of how the economy was criminally managed. Because Mohamed Amin Anta, when he was leaving, he gave a full statement. But today, President Mahama says the economy was criminally managed. That's what Atu Forson has told him. Fair enough. You have met an economy that has been criminally managed. And the first thing you want to do is to sell the prize state assets. And Kwesi Pratt says he hasn't heard it. Socialist Forum, they haven't heard it. That ECG is on sale. I'll remind them every day here, and I'll put their pictures there. Socialist Forum. You haven't heard it, that the price Kwame Nkrumah asset is for sale. We are here. We will see what will happen. So this is the story. This is only our first bite. What's this? Oh, no, leave Joyce Bar alone. I'll come back to you. It's 1 minute past 10 o'clock. ECG is going for sale. And it is going to cronies and their friends. And the good work that was done in 2022 and 2023 to raise the revenue from 500 million to 1.5 billion, the minister is yet to report that to Parliament. Should we put an urgent question? Now, producer, remind me. Kisi Ajaben said Ken Ofori-Atta is a fugitive from justice. So I want that fugitive from, because tonight, there's a fugitive from justice that we know has come to town. A fugitive from justice is in town, and we have all the information we'll share with you in a minute. So that's the ECG story. Let's take text messages, and then we go on to a break, and then we continue with our stories for tonight. We have so much to tell you tonight. Okay, who should I start with on the text messages on ECG? Anziba, what are people saying?
Thank you very much, Paul. Our first message is from Nana Owusu. He says, Paul, I am not surprised that JDM had swerved women he could have nominated. Nana Owusu says, John Jinapon knows his stuff and is a very welcoming guy who likes inclusion and diversity. As for Ayini, Okujato, and some George, I see them getting the marching orders in the first reshuffle. From Yao February, he says, we voted for the president to rule this country with the right people he wanted to assist to rule. The 19 cabinet ministers are all capable, but what we want to see is an improvement in the standard of living of Ghanaians. From Adriana, he says, expose them all, Mr. Paul. Yao February again says, the vice president of our country, being a woman alone, should have informed the president and his government to involve more women in the leadership as cabinet members to prove their love for women in the affairs of the country proposed when in opposition. From Francis Boahini says, Paul, Ghanaians are going to be doomed if the ECG is privatized. Electricity or power will be so expensive in Ghana. For example, because our harbour is privatized, it's so expensive to clear goods in Ghana. Ghanaians will suffer from 1. Natural monopoly. A natural monopoly occurs when the most efficient firm is privatized. 2. Government loses out on potential dividends. 3. Problem of regulating private monopolies. And 4. It will be very expensive and the innocent Ghanaians will bear a high cost of electricity or power. Nana also says, Paul, ECG will not be privatized whatsoever. At best, they can set up a public-private partnership to take over the commercial side of the company. Again, we should think about establishing a special purpose vehicle with the balance sheet of PURC, MIDA, Ghana Gas, GOIL, TAC, VRA, and others to sort out the collection and distribution. Lastly, the government shouldn't meddle itself in the importation of gas and fuel for the IPP, mainly the private power generating companies, etc. And lastly, from Asari Opon, he says, "Thank you, Paul, for doing the job of the OSP to prevent corruption. Good job and good evening." Over to you.
From Alaji Bob Saidi, Assalamu alaikum, Apostle Paul. May the good Lord bless you and your team for giving us the updates of the current difficulties we are facing in this country today. Paul, for the past weeks, I'm unable to enjoy your program to talk about contributing by sending my messages because John Mahama Doomso and some George data fluctuations. Even today, we are still in Doomso and data is not stable. May Allah help us from the hands of this wickedness. Greetings to Vincent Eko Asifua. From Atta Eduse Ernest. Mahama continues to take us for a ride, setting committees ostensibly to do his bidding. It's shameful. It is likely that he will fail. From Atta Eduse of Wase Kokobing. Mohammed Yusifa says, Paul, Pratt will come after you soon. Apostle Paul, you are a living agent who is making the Fourth Estate proud. Thank you for your education. And from Nana Kojo Amwako Frempong, Apostle Paul, please come down on Wofa Pratt. Let him enjoy Kakra.
Bransford Jampo, my good friend, New Nooks, I call him New Nooks. Today he's under fire because maybe he shouldn't have said anything about the labor negotiations today. But this is a labor negotiation where Akufo-Addo at the time last year approved nearly 30% of increase in labor. And I saw Democracy Hub's Oliver Bakar-Vamaho criticizing the labor unions that you're only getting 10% and you're happy about it. But today, Bransford Jampo wrote this: President Mahama himself went to sit with labor for the base pay negotiations. This is leadership, humility, respect personified. Previously, even common ministers felt too big to sit with labor. Reset, no more gross disrespect for labor. That's what he said today. Labor have been offered 10%. Labor was offered more last year. But nobody's talking about it. That's what it is. When you propagandize into power, you are not even able to say what last year was. So Professor Jampo reiterates, looking for something about the event. The point of that negotiation is not who came or who didn't come. Apologies to Professor Jampo. Prof, it has nothing to do with who came or who didn't come. It has everything to do with what the labor union was offered. And Akufo-Addo offered the labor union 30% last year. Inflation has come. President Mahama has offered the labor union 10%. It is lower than what Akufo-Addo offered. But Bransford Jampo's conclusion is President Mahama himself went to sit with labor. That's what he chooses to say. Let's see what he said yesterday. Oh, where is it? I was suggesting that labor union leaders have been bribed. That's what he was saying. That those who go and negotiate. He was talking about how they should negotiate for more. This was 30% given. Austin Game then said that 30% was not even good enough. Today, labor union is getting 10% from John Dramani Mahama. And this is Austin Game. Austin Game describes 30% increase in public sector base pay as reasonably adequate. Then what does he say of 10%? Please, you have it, put it down very quickly. Let's see. He said something about the 10%. Austin Game again is going to come very soon. Austin Game said 30% is reasonably okay. When it's 10%, Austin Game said today that 10% is too high. That President Mahama has done too well. 10%, 30%, and 10%. I don't understand. Do you think that people, no, Austin Game, I sent you Austin Game. He said 10%, please get it for me. Bransford Jampo says President Mahama himself went to sit with the labor. We've seen this already. Now, today, Bransford Jampo's issue about the 10% is that President Mahama showed up. Yes, thank you, President Mahama. I think it's a good thing. Let's clap for President Mahama for leaving his job at the Jubilee House and showing up to go and negotiate with labor union only to give them 10%. What did the leaders of the labor union get to agree on the 10%? Bransford Jampo should come and tell us. He was alleging that when Akufo-Addo was there, labor unions were collecting bribe. That's what Bransford Jampo was alleging. They were collecting bribe to conclude a negotiation at 30%. Today, labor unions didn't take bribe and concluded a negotiation at 10%. And Bransford Jampo says President Mahama showed up. So that is good. Why must President Mahama show up? President Mahama must do his work as president. He's supposed to give the labor unions and the labor people a very heartfelt reward for the work that they've done for Ghana. 10% is woefully inadequate. 30% we said was inadequate. 10% is good. Austin Gama said that 10% is too much. Can you imagine that? Watch once, for example, again. He was alleging against labor leaders that they have taken bribe to accept 30%. That if you allow them to lead you, they will remain rich and you will remain poor. He was alleging that labor union leaders have taken bribes from Akufo-Addo to agree on 30%. Today, labor union got 10%. 10. Not 30, 10. And they haven't taken bribe. Today, the response is, oh, President Mahama is great. He himself went to the... Why is President Mahama? Professor Jampo is a professor. He understands systems. He knows that President Mahama need not be there. If the negotiations go well and Labour get what they want, President Mahama need not be there. Should President Mahama be jumping from negotiation meetings with Labour Union, negotiation meeting with CLOSAC, negotiating meeting with Teacher Union, negotiating meeting with Nurse Union, negotiating meeting with Doctor Union? Our president, elected on Article 58, should not do that. Here's Austin Game. Labour consultant Austin Game has described government's recent approval of 10% wage increase for public sector workers as excessive, warning that it could exacerbate inflationary pressure. This is the kind of thing we see here. Civil society, hypocrisy. This is the hypocrisy we see. 10% is too much. 30% is only good. 10% is too much. If it's President Mahama, he shouldn't do too much to affect the economy. If it's President Akufo-Addo, even if he does 100%, it's not good. Hypocrisy is this. This is total hypocrisy, and we should abhor it. Runs, for example, my friend and Austin Game, they should stop that. Do your work and let's see what happens. Don't try hard to make something black gold. Black is not gold, gold is not black. Orange is not yellow, yellow is not orange. Yellow is yellow, orange is orange. Austin Game says that the 10% is too much. He thinks we've forgotten what he said about the 30%. That 30% was only reasonable. Oh, it's reasonably good. Oh, it's just reasonable. He hasn't done it. It's just reasonable. 10% is too much. What kind of what hypocrisy is this? Total hypocrisy. I've never seen some before. What is this? Austin Game describes 30% increase in public sector base as reasonably adequate. Then put a 10% there. Austin Game says 10% is excessive. What? Even class 9-year-old person will look at this and say, who is Austin Game? What is this? This is how we run our politics in Ghana. This is it. We are ready for it. Everyone should be ready for it. Because I like what the lady said on Joy, that the democracy has now arrived. We will not allow the government to do anything they want with our power. The democracy has now arrived. Akufo-Addo does 30%. It's not good. John Mahama does 10%. It's too big. Austin Game, labor authority on labor all over the world. He's known. Austin Game, because he's an NDC man. But he hasn't said he's not an NDC man. He said he's a former minister. I have interviewed him as a minister before. He was a minister for labor, so I know him. Because he's an NDC, Rollins didn't like him. I have a story. I won't say it today. He knows I know why Rollins didn't like him. Rollins told me. Austin Game, he says that 10% of John Mahama's labor wage increase is excessive. Labor, have you heard? Austin Game says, Musika na idama, it does too much. Akufo-Addo gave you 30%. Austin Game says it's just reasonable. Ransford Jampo says that labor unions have been bribed by Akufo-Addo to accept 30%. But 10% is good because John Mahama showed up for the meeting. Oh, new looks. You are a professor of political science. Why? 10% is good because John Mahama showed up for a meeting. That's all. 30% is bad because it is too low. 10% lower than 30% is good because the president showed up for the meeting. We don't want our presidents to be showing up for labor union negotiations. That's not what Article 58 said they should do. Article 58 said the executive authority of Ghana shall vest in the president. He's supposed to demonstrate it. Must he be jumping from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting to show that what? He's humble. That's what we want as Ghanaians. Okay, let's have it. President Mahama should not attend any such meeting anymore. He must give firm instructions, and the instructions be carried out. Why is he attending labor meetings? And Ransford Jampo comes and says that, oh, it is nice. Anyway, that is Ransford. Rethink the people you send to negotiate for your interests. Jampo advises labor unions. He's alleging that your leaders collect bribe because they brought you 30% increase under Akufo-Addo. It's bribe they took to get you 30%. President Mahama comes and gives you 10%. That one they didn't take bribe. That one was a beautiful meeting because the president attended. 29 minutes past 10 o'clock. Let's get to the other political TikTok. So, my friend Joyce Bauer, what has she done wrong? What has Joyce Bauer done wrong? They make a cartoon of her that she's holding bag, and that the bag is costing 1,930 pounds. Is it necessary? Is it necessary? It's not necessary. If a government appointee is holding a bag, so what? People come to government. Some come straight from school. Like I came straight from school to government and I became deputy minister. Fine. Another person comes straight from school. Another person from school goes to work and do something else. Politics too is work. And I've always been concerned about people who say that, how can you just come from school? Yeah. It's work. It will, however, mean something, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. That come straight from school to politics. It's not wrong. So please, Mr. Agbana, MP for Keta, it's not wrong. You haven't done anything wrong. Straight from political science to parliament, you haven't done anything wrong. It has consequences. It has ramifications. That's all. But you haven't done anything wrong. Then I saw why I'm doing this is that I was just laughing and giggling about it. I saw the MPA boss, Eeii John Mahama, write out a full script about why Joyce Bauer is qualified to have a bag because she has been practicing law. And then I cringed. I said, this guy, is he serious? The people you've been talking about, have you forgotten what their credentials are? What are you talking about? Joyce Bauer today has been practicing law. Why are we not in this country? What is he talking about? That Joyce Bauer is practicing law so she can... What is he talking about? Joyce Bauer of yesterday is this. And Joyce Bauer of today is this. She was practicing the law before the yesterday. Joyce Bauer has been practicing law for 20 years. Before 2018 and 19 and 21 and 22 and 23. She has been practicing the law for 20 years before then. That was this. Today she comes into government because she's won election. It is this. And Tamaklo is telling us that if she was practicing law, it should have showed here. It shouldn't show here. If Joyce Bauer was practicing her law and therefore she is okay to buy expensive ladies' bags, it should show here. It shouldn't show here. This is after government 1,900 pounds of bag that she was holding 2 weeks into government. 2 weeks, 1,000 pounds. So after 4 years, how much? Hallelujah. 2 weeks, 1,000 pounds Joyce Bauer. 2 weeks, 2 weeks government. 1,000 pound bag is holding. This is Joyce Bauer in opposition. Where is the 1,000 pound bag? Nobody should come and give us that. I have a story to say about declaration of assets. The assets that they declare, that the constitution doesn't say we should publish. What is the point? That's for Tuesday. That's for Tuesday's coming. I'm doing a research on all those who have published their assets, ministers, Article 71 appoint. I'll bring it out. And I'll make the point that what is this if we can't find it? But that's later. So if Joyce Bauer was declaring her assets, and please bring Joyce Bauer, let me finish. If Bauer was declaring her assets, and this bag was not in the assets, but it shows up 2 weeks after government, 2 weeks, so 14 days, per 1,000 pound bag. If you were holding a 1,000 pound bag already, it's okay. When I was going to watch football at Manchester State, they said I've stolen airport money. I was able to demonstrate that in 2014 I've been at Old Trafford from long ago. So everybody kept quiet. You can't tell me that you were practicing law or you were a corporate lawyer so you could hold a bag. We can listen to that. But you have to hold that bag before the election, not after. Or you have to hold a similar one before the election, not after. If you are not holding a similar one before the election, the social media police in Kofi Nyako, Samuel Brian Boabin, they will get you on this one. They will get you because they will bring the picture. Now Joyce Bauer does video, she's not holding bag. She will speak the truth. You hold back. Joyce Bauer, you hold back again. You will hear it because you said Samira shouldn't hold back. You won't hold back. You will never hold back between now and the end of the tenure. Otherwise, go and bring this bag. This one, that's the only one we know. Go and bring it. If you take another bag, we'll tell you the cost. We'll tell you where you bought it. Selfridges. We know there. We will show you where you bought it. The democracy has come. The chickens have come home to roost. When you run a campaign like that, it will bite you in government. If you run a campaign the way you run the campaign, it is 4 years, it will bite you in government. Plenty of time. Let's watch this space. Our friend, what's his I like him so much. Support from USAID and other international agencies is being cut to Ghana because of the erstwhile MPP corruption. Dr. Safo Tanko Rashid Computer, acting CEO of GIFEC. That animal, have mercy on us. This man is Dr. Safo Tanko Rashid Computer. He's the acting CEO of GIFEC, and he was able to say, in spite of the news on Joy FM, the news on City FM, CNN, on My FM, to me radio, everybody has quoted Donald Trump's reason for abandoning USAID. And a high-profile official in Ghana has not heard it. Look at how he's embarrassing the Republic. Look at how, look, every JSS child is reading and laughing. See how he's embarrassing the Republic. This is internet era. This is going around all over the world. People are sending to me from America that, hey, which your minister bid is? Go and look on the scoop. It's on Abisadel platform. It's on Achimota platform. It's on Presec platform. It's on St. Peter's platform. Everywhere. And the people on the platform in America, they are sending me that, hey, Ghana, why? What is happening? Who is this? Who is this one too? Then they are doing question mark. Then we are all embarrassed. What is this? I don't have anything to say. I don't have nothing to say about it. All right, we have an interview with young people here in the studio. Nooks, they're coming to see us. And they say they have a concern. And whilst we do that, let's get to Alexander Afenyo-Markin, one of the men of the moment. Alexander has penciled a letter to John Dramani Mahama, President of Ghana. And Office of the Minority Leader, Parliament House, Eeii John Mahama, President of Ghana. Today, Felix Ofosu Kwakye said something that was very important. He said that he will resign if any journalist is attacked as a result of criticizing the government. Felix Kwakye Ofosu, my good friend, he said that he will resign if any journalist is attacked as a result of criticizing John Mahama's government. Because they said Akufo-Addo was intolerant. When journalists criticize him, he attacks them. It's not even true. Akufo-Addo sued Manasseh Azuri at National Media Commission. And the commission heard it. I saw it. Good evening, Manasseh. How are you? Yesterday I had something to say about you, but I didn't say. They say you've left Fourth Estate. Where are you now? Please, we need a very senior investigative editor here at Metro TV. Tell Manasseh Azuri that, but tell him that Metro TV is for Zoom Lion, so he has to make a decision whether he wants to do it or not. But there's opportunity here. Manasseh, they say he's left Fourth Estate. He left Joy FM, left Fourth Estate. Oh, Manasseh, why? Maybe there's something he sees we don't see. Maybe we are working here for 20 years. Maybe we don't understand something. Because I like to work at one place for long. But if Joy FM now is gone, then Fourth Estate is gone. So that's why I saw Suleiman Brahma doing the presentation himself on the National Service thing. Yeah, it's a problem. Okay, producer, let's restart the Afenyo-Markin one. Now, this is the letter. It's written on 18th February. Honorable John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, Jubilee House, Accra. Your Excellency, revocation of appointment and recruitment made after 7 December. Now, this thing is a problem, and I'm happy that the Supreme Court is going to hear it. And on the Supreme Court matter, I really want to hear the opinion of Justice Yoni Kulendi, Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, Amadou Tanko, Gabriel Poaman, and the Lord CJ herself. The Constitution is clear that the mandate of the President is from some time to some time. Then Chief of Staff writes a letter that after 7 December, is the Chief of Staff the Constitution? What are we doing in Ghana? The Chief of Staff can amend the Constitution. When the Constitution says the mandate of a president begins here and ends here, Chief of Staff writes a letter that all recruitments done in the name of the President after 7 December is illegal. 7 December is the date the Constitution gave. I'm waiting to hear what the Supreme Court will say about this. And I want to hear what Justice Kulendi has to say about this. That the Chief of Staff says that he is changing the Constitution so that the mandate of the government no longer ends on 7 January, but the mandate of the government ends on 7 December. Now, here's a Chief of Staff who had ever penciled a letter appointing Dom Levo on 6th of January 2017. That Chief of Staff comes to tell us that now he's forgotten about that the mandate of the government ends on 7 December. The Supreme Court will have to tell us where we are on this matter. It is coming, and apparently they filed some documents today. By next week, it's fully filed. 9 members of the Supreme Court panel must tell us whether a president, a chief of staff, a chief executive who is over 60 years old. Now I'm coming to that story. Chief executives have been appointed who are over 60 years old. I've written a letter to a former Shraj commissioner to answer for me. He says he will get back to me tomorrow. A former Shraj commissioner. that, boss, 60-year-old can be appointed. People who are over 60 have been appointed by the president into positions. Over 60-year-olds. There's a lot coming, a whole lot. All right. Revocation of appointments and recruitment made after 7 December. I extend my warmest regards to you in the spirit of our shared commitment to the progress of Ghana, and with the utmost respect for your esteemed office, I write to express deep concerns regarding the recent revocation of appointments of public servants across key institutions in the country, following directive issued by the Chief of Staff in a letter dated 10th February of the reference. Your Excellency, the 1992 Constitution of Ghana is unambiguous in its protection of public sector workers. Article 191 guarantees job security for public servants, ensuring that no individual is dismissed arbitrarily. Article 296 demands that discretionary powers be exercised fairly, while Article 23 upholds the principles that the administrative decisions must be just, reasonable, and devoid of capriciousness. The Labour Act 2003 at 651, alongside the Public Services Commission Act 1994, further reinforces these safeguards by mandating due process in employment matters. These mass dismissals, conducted without individualized assessment or adherence to legal protocols, appear to contravene these foundational legal principles and erode public trust and confidence in our state institutions. It is also important to recognize that the recruitment into public office is a structured process rather than a single event. As such, dismissing individuals solely based on their appointment dates disregards the procedural integrity of the recruitment. In many cases, many of those who received their appointments after 7 December 2024 had already begun the recruitment process well in advance, some as early as June 2024. They went through rigorous procedures, including aptitude tests, medical examinations, and other institutional requirements. Having successfully completed these steps and met all necessary criteria, they were rightfully given appointment. It is therefore unfair and unjust to dismiss individuals solely based on their appointment dates, disregarding the merit-based process they underwent. Moreover, Your Excellency, this development stands in stark contrast to the vision you passionately articulated during your inauguration, the 7th of January 2025. You pledged to lead a Ghana that prioritizes inclusivity, national unity, economic empowerment. Your flagship policy of a 24-hour economy was widely endorsed as a beacon of hope for young people seeking employment and economic security. It is therefore deeply disappointing that rather than expanding job opportunities, your administration is now overseeing a wave of terminations, displacing hard-working Ghanaians from their existing livelihoods. This not only contradicts your government's stated economic goals, but also risks deepening public mistrust in the administration's commitment to job creation. Your Excellency, history reminds us of your principled stance on this very issue. In May 2017, you condemned similar dismissals by the previous administration, blah, 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 blah. It continues, Your Excellency, I respectfully draw your attention to the Supreme Court's landmark decision in Ghana Center for Democratic Development and others, versus Attorney General, delivered by Justice Amegache, JSC, where the court reaffirmed that the politically motivated removal of public servants violates constitutional principles. This judgment emphasizes that such dismissals undermine due process and constitutional rights of public servants. The current wave of termination embodies the same unconstitutional overreach that the court sought to correct. Your Excellency, in the light of the foregoing, I respectfully urge you to consider the following to uphold constitutional principles and fairness. Withdrawal, the Chief Justice letter, etc., etc., etc. That's Alexander Afenyo-Markin to the President. But I am confused about how a letter from the presidency will be writing something in contravention of the provisions of the 1992 Constitution. I mean, not complicated things that the Supreme Court must interpret, but very straightforward, a matter of dates. Provided for in the 1992 Constitution, a letter emanates from the presidency and is seeking to amend the Constitution. When the government of President Mahama has been in government before, and whilst in government before, they had conducted similar work. Not just that, President Mahama has also been in opposition, and whilst in opposition, he filed writs at the courts seeking an interpretation of this process. And those decisions were given in his favor, which Afenyo-Markin refers to. Donko and the Attorney General, and then CDD and the Attorney General. So how does a letter come out and it says we are changing anything done after 7? 7 December is inconsequential to the governance of Ghana. 7 December is consequential to the Electoral Commission and the people of Ghana who change every 4 years. So that date, 7 December, in the election year, which is an election day, it's inconsequential to the authority of the President of Ghana, so elected under Article 58. There's no problem with it. But let's see what happens. We should watch this space. Please bring the young men in. Let's have an interview. So Nooks are complaining. They say that their results are being withheld by WAEC without WAEC telling them, and individual results are being withheld by WAEC without WAEC telling them why the results are being withheld, and they have to settle themselves with going to rewrite a paper when they don't know why they have to rewrite the paper. Let's take our text messages and settle down with them right now. Who should I start with in the text message? Mister, what happened?
Thank you very much, Paul. From Yao Kwa Brights, thank you for the amazing job. Keep on your excellent analysis. With time frame, the truth shall be enlightened to all Ghanaians. That when you lie to people for power, your gesture would be shown. From Yao February, Mr. Tanko's assertion about the US aids is nothing but naive and their usual propaganda. From Mohammed Yusufa, what did Tanko really say that, oh, what a shame, does he not follow international news? And from Banawa Vistus, how would the president showing up in the negotiation table pay my bills? And lastly, from Abdul Rahman, guy in black, Mahama has to set a committee to know the amount she bought the bag. Over to you, Anzaba.
In fact, I used to respect Mr. Rangford Jampo so much, but now I feel shamed to even mention his name in front of my student colleagues. Mwan Zong says Rangford Jampo and Austin Gami are rather making fun of Ghanaians, and God is watching them. Real Max V says Apostle Paul. So is it that what Prof. Jampo was using his UTAG for? Is that what Prof. Jampo was using his UTAG for? To enrich himself? Indeed, the chicken has come home to roost. From Baba Chairman, he says the hypocrisy with some of these so-called neutrals and bootlickers is becoming nauseating and annoying. And if people like Prof. Jampo are given sensitive positions, only God knows what they would be doing where they are. Shadrach says, Africans don't talk when eating. Not surprised. It's the labor union we should blame. Government like a business person will want to pay less to make profits. Bright Edo Asari says, this person calls himself a professor. Kabna Bwampong says, Ghana is a sad country because how can a serious country like Ghana even have time to employ someone like Jampo who was blackmailing ladies for sex before they get grades? From Emmanuel Owusu, he says, that's Ghana for you. Bryce Eduasari again says, may someone ask the professor if he understands delegation of powers? Isaka said, let the dust settle in 6 months and we will see what Ghana will get from the NDC. Atua Rahman says, he's just monitoring the system. And lastly, from Baba Chairman, he says, Paul, the least talked of Prof. Jampo, the better. He has proven to the whole world that all the cacophony of noise he was engaged in, that's all the cacophony of noise he was engaged in. Over to you, Paul.
All right, let's talk to Nooks now, and let me begin with you, Nooks. Nooks and PTA are both with us tonight. What's the problem? I see your demonstration say, why they are bread demo? When is it happening?
It's happening on Tuesday.
Next week Tuesday.
Next week Tuesday.
Okay, and you are inviting all students to join.
All students to join.
Because
we have a major challenge with WAEC. WAEC released the 2024 WASI results on the 29th of December 2024. And my research team sent me a paper which showed a very worrying trend. Several cancelled results and even more withheld results. So on the 2nd of January 2025, I wrote to WAEC to seek audience on these issues, and I listed the issues I had with the reports that I had from my research team on their report. They invited us on the 10th of January. And we met with them, we met with their team, their head of legal, head of corporate affairs, head of more practice. And they assured us that yes, they are doing due diligence because they believe these students have cheated. And yes, WAEC must do their work. And we agreed with them that they should do their due diligence, but it's an investigation. Some people may be innocent. In that regard, they should ensure that there should be a speedy process because you have already released the bulk of the results so that those who may be innocent will be able to also meet the admission window because admission had opened and schools were admitting.
Why does that? Haven't they gone through a thorough process to come to that conclusion?
That is what I just couldn't understand.
Is there history where they have withheld some of those results and it turned out that the person's results?
Several.
How did they find out?
So
that
when they,
how did they get it back?
So when they withhold the results, they are now coming to do further investigation. So when they now
before they do, so they withhold is suspicion.
Yes,
okay.
Suspicion of collusion.
Okay.
So by that time, they would have released all those that they feel there is nothing, and they are going through the admission process. There is a classical case in one school I don't want to mention. 2 years ago, she wrote her exams. One of the papers was withheld. So she waited. She didn't get it. By the time the result was released, she had an A, but the admissions had closed in all the public universities.
It was released back that after the findings, she's okay.
Yes.
Hey, and it's released at the time when she can't go with her mates.
No, they were all gone. So she now had to look for admission. She got admission in a private university because by that time,
the public,
as we speak, all the public universities, they are in their third week, fourth week.
And they complained to the Ministry of Education for that matter.
We had written, we had met with all these stakeholders. We are now seeking, because of the change of government, during this period, a lot of things were happening. We didn't have a minister. I now was engaging with WAEC as I was speaking. I met with them on the 10th. They wrote back to us on the 17th that they were still in the process. And all this while, many people think Nooks is known for Luther and we just get up and then we do all these kind of things. But Paul, we had gone through very civil process with WAEC. And I didn't know it would end here. I was thinking our engagement and the cordiality, they would have done the needful, get this thing done, but it wasn't happening. So on the 28th of January, we held a press conference and we made it clear that we are realizing that they are taking us for a ride. We are engaging with you, we are talking with you, but nothing is happening. Admissions at that time was closed. That was what made us wake up. And we told them in 7 days, whatever investigations they were doing, they should finish it. And you see, their response leaves me very worried. Because when they come out, they try to throw dust in the eyes of people that if people have copied, shouldn't they do due diligence?
Yes, they should, but the timing.
Exactly. Oh, I even believe, and I believe that should be the position of the law, that whatever due diligence they are doing now should be part of the examining of the scripts process. So they should not even release any results until they have gone through the entire process.
Absolutely.
Because what they have done now,
so they don't disadvantage a 70-year-old,
created a lot of mental health issues.
I can believe
for
that.
the students of
But
the
how
house.
come the Ministry of Education is not able to call this to order and sort it out? I can't understand it. Doesn't the minister pay WAEC?
WAEC it's more of an autonomous body.
Yes, but the Ministry of Education pays WAEC for
the
exams
work
that
they
are conducted.
do. Yes.
So if you pay them and they are jeopardizing the life of your young people, you can't say anything about it.
I believe that the ministry is taking notice of it.
The notice is not enough at all. Maybe you should direct your demonstration to the ministry.
Yes, to the ministry at the time when...
But does WAEC have a contract with you? They may not.
No, they have a contract with our students.
Is it not with the
Every
ministry?
student, no. Every student...
Who did they release the results to?
To the student.
Individual, not the school.
Yes, because every student registers
No, but when I was in school, why it doesn't release the results to me? It goes to Presec. I have to go there.
Exactly. But this time,
And Presec can withhold my results if
Yes.
I've not paid my fees.
But now it
So
is
the
released-
contract was with Presec, not with me, the individual.
Now it is
Now it's
also-
different.
It's with the student.
One person.
Yes.
So you can check your results online. Because
So if you haven't paid your fees to Presec,
Yes.
oh, it's free SHS. Sorry, I forgot. Okay.
And you see,
okay,
even the worst part is they are also cancelling some of the results. And they, the same WAEC, closed their remedial registration for this year on the 7th of January.
And you still don't have your results.
And you
to
don't have it.
register or
And
not.
some of them, they are saying, okay, we found evidence of collusion, we have cancelled it. But you have closed remedial. So it means that I have to wait next year to register and go to
Maybe
school
a legal
next 2
action.
years.
A legal action will work.
Yes.
Let me talk to PTA, boss. What's your from your angle? How do you see it?
Okay. Paul, parents are going to help
I can imagine.
because I hope you are equally a parent. It's not easy taking care of somebody from Form 1 up to Form 3 in secondary school with this private studies and so on and so forth. For him to finish and finally be told your results has either been cancelled or withheld. What happened this year was that, and the reason why we are so serious this time is that WAEC is becoming unbecoming. Paul, you are in the media, and I know anything about education, you are passionate of it. For the last 10 years, WAEC has been cancelling results based on one reason or the other. Other papers has leaked, so you cancel the results, you come and write again. Sometimes people have done a poll, and so you are canceling your paper. Sometimes you have seen similarities in the answering of questions, and therefore students' results have been cancelled. What we are saying is that we can't allow these things to be continued, because as Ghanaians, we need to protect our integrity first place. We are within the community of West Africa and possibly Africa and the whole world. If it is something that every year students of Ghana has to suffer one way or the other, and when they say they cancel your results, they won't come and say identify you, Paul Adom Otchere, that your results have been cancelled, or Thomas Kujo, your results have been cancelled. So if I find myself in Nigeria, how would they know I was part of?
So how do you hear that your results have been cancelled?
Yes, the whole thing is that what happened this year was that after total aggregation, that 20% has passed, 30% has failed, 10% the results have been held. They started testing you. What happened is that you realize that others' results are not coming. So, as a body, for my school, where I'm represented in West Region, GSCS, what happened is that you wrote to our old students to help us to find out what is happening from WAEC. So the old student wrote through a lawyer to WAEC, demanding the results of those withheld results. Then WAEC wrote to our school that this is what has happened. They realized some impasses, and therefore they are checking. Until then, the school where they took the exams is not aware.
That they are even investigating.
Exactly, they are not aware of anything at all. Other malpractice has happened as at that time. So we waited for 2 weeks without hearing anything. So as a parent of that school, we consulted a lawyer to write to them. And 3 weeks after this time, WAEC has not replied. But we realized that WAEC is not doing us a favor. We are providing
a service, yes.
for us to pay for.
Yeah.
And you realize that over the years, Ghanaians' attention is not there. Every day they do what they want, and they are not ready to even to create modalities that will solve that problem. Because the lazy approach, what they do is that they feel that at their own discretion, if they think there's something went on wrong, their easy way is that you cancel. But Paul, you all went to the school. Sometimes that is why Kusibroni is not okay. You need not to get 100 for you to get 8. Sometimes you get 70 or 80 for you to get 8. I know only at our time 70 gives you 8. So if you think Christian 3 that I had a call, what do? You can cancel the Christian 3. And I still can get 60 for me to get my C or B. So why do you cancel everything? Again, they cancel. On what basis do you have to cancel? Because exams sometimes in 3 parts. You have the objectives, you have the theory, and you have practicals. Which one did I do that for? If I did that for in theory, and
when they come to the conclusion that APO was used, do they, as the lawyers say, so moto on their own?
On their own.
Make that determination.
Exactly.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Exactly.
They look at it and say, this is APO cancelled.
Exactly.
Oh, that's arbitrary.
For
Exactly.
the first time when we challenged them, they started having hearings. And they started.
Do they have law and
texting.
legal departments at WAEC?
Yeah, they have.
No, when we met them, we met their head of legal.
And the lawyers feel this is okay.
And all
But
of a sudden, they
one person
started-
can
and-
constitute himself and
they
decide that
want
an
to-
individual and got APO.
WAEC sets the question.
Yes.
They mark. They make a determination whether you have copied. And then they do the adjudication and pass judgment. One person.
Oh, that's
You
arbitrary.
are the prosecutor.
That's too
You are
arbitrary.
the judge. You are the prison warden. You are everything.
That's a
There
violation
is
of
even
Article
another
296.
portion also. Yes. And I've raised it to them. There is even another portion where some students engage in a malpractice in a particular paper, but they end up cancelling all their papers they have written.
Yes.
Oh,
Because
Maybe geography.
oh,
She's
but
doing
that
about
one,
it.
if there's conclusive evidence that you have more practice in geography, it stands to reason that the others be cancelled.
It stands to reason, but it's not
not
conclusive.
all. For
It's not
example,
conclusive.
I
Not
went
always the
to
case.
write tree,
And you
Exactly.
do use APO.
and I went in with a mobile phone. Because I went in, it is not because of just the Apple. If you went in with a piece of paper, for their rules, that one, tree will be cancelled.
Yeah, but extraneous matters should not
But
come
if
into
you,
the exam room.
if you went in with a phone, they will cancel the tree, cancel the maths, cancel the English, cancel the.
Yes, if you
every
violate
other
one
thing.
of them, but they should say that in the contract. That if you violate any of the exam rules, all your results will be cancelled. Every semester will be
but,
cancelled.
And
but,
if
but
you-
the
That's
law-
that's
if you
allowed.
say-
But
no,
but
no,
where
no,
they
no.
make the decision by
But-
them, so I
but
think
for-
that's a violation of
Even
Article
for there,
296.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
That the paper that they are dealing
No,
with should be taken
exactly.
care of.
Exactly.
But you have evinced a certain character that you would like to
But
copy.
it's always the case that don't you take gobe? It's always that you take gobe every day. So if you have seen me
My
once,
taking gobe is not a character; it's a desire.
It's a
But
desire.
this one, you're evincing a characterization that this is who you are.
that-
You
that-
like to steal.
yes, because
So we don't know whether
But
you
the
also
fact
stole
that-
in physics and
and
chemistry. So we
because you
cancel
don't
all.
know- because
exactly
you don't
that is
know,
why
you don't take that action.
exactly you don't take that
Because
action.
the name of the
And
game is
again,
evident.
That one they have to
and-
put in the
and-
contract.
and
That
again,
if you are found to have cheated in one paper, all the papers will be cancelled.
no, but
It should be a major deterrent.
No, but I don't even agree to that.
We can argue
No,
about
it
it.
can, yes, because the whole thing is that is why you have the policemen. That is why you have supervisors.
They have the
That is
vigilance
why
is
have
with you.
Exactly.
So it's your failure.
Exactly.
It's a
your
systemic
failure.
failure.
Everybody, including you and me, has a degree of deviant in you.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So that's why the law
if you-
enforcement.
Exactly.
So if you don't enforce the law,
exactly, if you don't put in the measures, tendency for everybody to steal is there, including me.
when they say steal, do they mean that you brought a book into the exam room or you're talking to your friend?
In this case, what they are saying is they are seeing similarities
In the answer.
in the answers.
In wrong answers or correct answers?
Exactly. Nobody knows.
Similarities in wrong answers is cheating.
Exactly.
But similarity in correct answers is not
It's
cheating.
also cheating according to
That
the
cannot be. That's not a prima
Yes,
facie.
Exactly.
A prima facie
I like
cheating
your-
is wrong.
Yes.
Wrong answers that you all use. That's
I like
prima
your
facie
argument.
you've copied.
Yes.
But correct answer, it's
eh.
not prima facie that you've copied.
Yes. And
Well, it also depends on the subject.
and I also ask people, there are certain questions you all know when you are young in secondary school, like what is matter? If you are a student in class, they are likely to write the same. What is factors of production? If you are a student in
Factors of production.
production.
Yeah, I remember that land.
Yeah, land entrepreneurship,
factory,
capital, those
the
things.
capital. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, but that one you can't say anybody has copied.
Exactly.
It's a list of things.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is that these are the things that can happen. For you to tell me that somebody has copied, a matter is anything that occupies space and that. You've been saying these things. Reconciliation, if you are country student up to 1 to 4, 5 for level, anything about reconciliation, it's likely the person will answer. You get about 80% of those in the class answering.
In the same way.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is that, Paul, even in a modern way in Ghana, people are sitting at home and writing PhD. People are sitting at home and writing masters. This is a case these boys did not sit at home. You provided a place for them to come and write the exam.
Well, I get the
you
point
see
you're
it.
making. People are writing the
And
exam
you-
from
you
their
are-
home.
you-
Yes,
Yeah.
and getting when you are in the Legon, how many people can say I have 2 masters? Today you see politicians, you see people saying you have 2
I
masters,
like we
I
say
have 3
politicians.
masters.
Yeah, they all have 3 masters.
Yes,
How did they get it?
yeah, be somewhere.
Where you are so busy.
Answer.
Why you are so busy?
So busy traveling.
These
and-
politicians are so busy,
Yes,
and then
writing
they have
draft laws.
PhD.
Exactly.
Before you see everybody's
Exactly,
doctor.
everybody lawyer.
How happened?
And so
When did they do it?
I'll partner you to do research in these things. Because 15 years ago, 14 to 16 years ago that I'm doing masters at Lagos, they will have to suffer before even finish.
I remember.
Today, people are sitting at home and getting masters and PhD.
Yeah, the double
So
masters.
why do you choose a venue for somebody with your invigilators and your
And
chief
they say that
examiners,
he
and at
he
the end of
copied.
the day, you say you copied, and so no remedy
And always the punishment is on the student.
on the student.
Have you ever heard
That's also
that
important.
WAEC is punishing their chief
Oh.
examiners, their
Yes.
invigilators?
Yeah.
What?
But the
same
apport thing
invigilators
comes
will
from
come in.
WAEC. The apport
Exactly.
comes from WAEC's people.
Yes.
The apport doesn't come from
That's what I
us.
said.
It
You
comes from
send the
them.
questions.
Yeah, they have staff of them who
You
leak the
send the
apport and
questions.
all of
You are
that.
paying the invigilators.
I'm joining the demonstration. When is it?
Oh,
It's happening
Tuesday.
on Tuesday.
No, I'll be there. So demonstration starting from where?
Starting from Nebraska.
And
To
so
where?
give the route.
Yeah, is that it? WAEC, Yabre demo.
Yes.
Are you
Yeah,
presenting?
Bremo.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Please
Bremo.
let's hear you.
Okay, so I'm the chairman for Legal and Human Rights Committee. And I was in charge of receiving petitions from students. And for one thing that is very, very surprising, on the 8th of this month, through WAEC's Public Affairs Directory, they issue a statement that all withheld results will be released by 28th of this month. And I've sent that to your producer. He can show it to you. That is coming from, it was published on Graphic Online. So even when we started this agitation that we are going for demonstration on the 25th, people were asking us, I was on your news yesterday, and they were asking, WAEC said they will release it 28th, so why don't you wait? You are doing, but then WAEC is also inviting students to attend to an interview for investigations. And this evening, 2 students sent me text message that they received from WAEC that they are to attend investigation, or they are to avail themselves for investigation on 28th of this month. So it tells you that all that they are doing is a charade. They just want to tell people that, oh, we are investigating. And like you said, they are justice in their own case. So they invite you, you come and it asks you to write a paper just to, make you accomplice, because you've come and then you've put in something down that you wrote down and said this and that happened. What we are saying is that there are a lot of reforms that WAEC can do in this modern Ghana. For at some places, when you enter into an exam hall, there are cameras. So WAEC can put camera for 3-hour paper. So if you don't put your camera there, or if you don't on your camera, at the end of the exam, we know that it's a rule. You fail. Then number 2, over the years, like you said in your school, Prosec, you see that the vigilators are teachers from Prosec.
Yes,
The only thing they do is that if you are a mathematics teacher, you will not invigilate maths. You go to a humanity, whatever it is.
No, he comes at the beginning to explain the questions if there's a problem. Then he goes ahead.
Yo, so Paul, why don't we do it this way? WAEC employs the invigilators. So you are coming from Prosec, you're a teacher at Prosec. But then you will not invigilate at Prosec. You go to Accra Academy. Because if you are invigilating at
You know
Prosec,
them, yeah.
you have interest. Because you want Prosec to
do
you
well.
even be an old boy, you want
Yeah.
them to score. So why don't you say, okay, if you are an invigilator from Prosec, you will not be at Prosec. You go and invigilate, because you choose, not all teachers apply to be invigilators. You choose to do that as an extra income. So if you are applying for invigilator, okay, you'll be at, but you go to Achimota. Would this thing continue? You see, this is what WAEC is not doing.
But what happens now? Prosec people invigilate Prosec.
Prosec, yes. The only thing is that
Oh, I see.
if you are teaching mathematics, you go and invigilate maybe English or home economics. Or
But you are a
whatever.
Prosec teacher.
You are a Prosec teacher.
You are invigilating Prosec.
Yes, and then at the end of this thing, they will
Maybe they
bring.
don't want the children to be tense.
At the end of it, they will bring. So why do they bring the
But I
police?
want them to fail.
No, they want them to be tense, so they want them to have familiar people when they are
No,
writing
they
the
bring
exam.
police.
Then when
Sometimes
you
they bring
finish-
police.
then when you
Sometimes
They
finish-
bring police with
yes,
guns.
Yeah,
police.
yeah,
Then when
police.
you
What are
finish,
the-
you cancel their result.
What are the police coming to
Then
do?
when you
They are-
finish, you
they
don't
are
want them
there.
to be tense, but I want them to fail or cancel their papers.
So Paul, what we are saying is that now WAEC, you've employed the invigilator. The invigilator says, "Kojo man who has copied. He has bring you a report. The invigilator is an agent of the WAEC. So by extension, he's working for you. So you go and compose a committee and you invite only the students. You are a complainant, investigator, prosecutor, a judge, and then the prison warden. The prison warden is when they cancel your results, the only avenue you have is go and register with WAEC and write off debt. So you think, yes, you think they don't have any interest?
Yeah, because that's more money.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
so they should never be allowed to determine cancellation because they have so much interest.
Yes, and we have GS, which has got a lot of branches at the district level. They are there. Now, when they even cancel when they even want to invite you, you have to come to the district regional capital. Somebody is in OT, and maybe somewhere they have to cross river and go to Dambai. I received a call from a parent that they received a text message. She's in Kaswa with her son, but then the son's school in the Volta region. So they have to go to Ho to just go and meet WAEC for interrogation, and then so that they will know whether, and they will not even tell them that you've come, okay, we've looked into your case, we are going to, and when they go there, something happened in Cape Coast. They invited a school that they are English, they withheld it, and they said all of them copied, and they had similar answers, which were wrong, they deviated. Then the teacher asked them that they should bring the question, and then so that they will compare the answers if indeed they deviated. And then when the WAEC says so they don't have a past question of the 2024, so the teacher had to pull it from the online, and it was summary. Summary. So it is the same passage. We are just making some points out of it. So how would you tell me that this one passage, which maybe has about maybe 5 paragraphs, and then we have to summarize and give the title? Yours will not be similar to my summary. It's not composition.
It will be similar.
Yes, it is not letter writing. That write a letter to your friend. That I will say dear Paul. Somebody have to say dear Kofi or whatever. It is summary. So what WAEC is doing, because of the autonomy, because of the monopoly they've gained, that is why they are doing it. They only, as we speak now, on the 31st, there was a court ruling. Some students took WAEC. Martin Pebu, your friend, was their counsel.
Oh, good.
And he had judgment that WAEC should release all the results. WAEC went to court on the 3rd.
To stop it?
To stop, yes. They filed a stay of execution. God being so great, today, there is a court ruling by High Court. The High Court has set away their stay of execution.
So they are compelled now to release
They are compelled now, but instead of them to do that, they are still inviting students. And you are telling us that you will release the entire result by 28. So 28 is the final day. But on the same 28, you are conducting investigation. So it is much ado about nothing. It is something like something to represent something.
It's a confusion issue.
So the root, you want to hear him?
Let me hear him as well. And then there's a Latin magazine called Nemos Judas in Cosa Soa. You can't be a judge.
You can be a judge in your
Look
own.
at this, what WAEC is doing.
Yes.
Honestly speaking, it's a very big blow to the student, especially denying them access to the various universities. Now, WAEC used to do receipt examinations November, December. We call it NOVDEC. Now, 31st of December on their website, they release a circular to the general public that this time they are going to conduct their receipt examination January and February. By then, they have withheld all these results that we are talking about. Now, the student, by fear of knowing that my result has been withheld, rushes to register with their private examinations. So now, this February, WAEC conducted receipt exams, and majority of these people who are having their results withheld had to register with them. But the question is, the teacher that invigilates WAEC's, examination, becomes an employee within that short time. He's an employee of WAEC. Now, the examiner who is now been given the script to mark is also an employee. Now, the examiner, after going through the examination now, is saying that there has been some what you call collusion or malpractices. Now, the examiner, who is also an employer of WAEC, is blaming the invigilator that he didn't do his work well. Then the one to suffer is the innocent student. This is not fair. This is injustice. And the majority of our students are sitting idle in the house, looking on to their fellow students in the various universities. It is torture. They are going through trauma and psychological, what do you call it, unstableness. That is what we are saying, that WAEC should, as a matter of urgency, release, and right now they release the thing in bits. With the case of GSTS, last week Thursday, what they did was they released about 5% out of the 1,000 and over students that completed 2024. Then on Friday, everybody who had his result withheld on Thursday had it cancelled on Friday. What is that?
That's wrong.
And then, Paul, the most painful aspect is that you have students who had 6 A's, 7 A's because of the integrated science. They are sitting at home. She's such a gem. 7 A's, 6 A's, 5 A's because of integrated science. Because without the integrated science, you see, GSCS, exactly, for GSCS, a pure science school. So without the integrated science, with your 5 A's, 6 A's, you are sitting at home. For somebody with 6 A's going to the university, it's like
That's the matter we can talk about.
It's like
But so let's get back to the demonstration date. Tuesday, 24th, isn't it? Oh, Tuesday 25th, yes, 25th February.
25th February. And then the conversion point is at Obra Sports, 9 a.m.
Who are you expecting?
We are expecting all Ghanaians because we are all in this together.
Parents, teachers, future parents, even those who are here to ride the WASI. Because if we don't correct it today, here to ride WASI, they are too young to come for the demonstration. They are 15.
We are saying that their parents.
Their parents, okay.
Yes.
And then from Obra Sports, we use the Ringway Central, the Paroma Road to Nima. Then we branch Ridge to WAEC office. Then we go and present a petition to them. If they are tired, they should tell the government, or they should tell the employees that they are tired. Please get a new examining body so that they can take over from us. Then from there, we go to the Ministry of Education, we'll present a petition, and we'll present solutions to the problem, because this issue of examination or practice has been there, but WAEC looks unconcerned because the only remedy they have is cancellation of paper. How are we preventing that? Must we always have examinations that will come out and we say it was exam or practice? There should be measures to stop that thing. Then from there we will converge at the Independence Square, and then we address our audience, and then we depart from there.
Independence Square is a converging point.
No, the Obra Sport.
I mean, Independence Square is a conclusion.
Yes, it's the conclusion.
That's where you're ending.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds very interesting. Okay, we'll leave it here, and we'll join your demonstration. Of course, we will give you absolute coverage.
But Paul, I have 2 recommendations from government, our own government today. It's about time the monopoly of WAEC
is looked at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you have a lot of human resources in Ghana, you have a lot of professors. We can set another para exam board.
We have a lot of professors who can do the questions.
Exactly.
A lot of them. People's University alone has
a lot. The technical universities has a lot now. The traditional universities has a lot now. That we can set para examination body to break away the monopoly. And again, you want a committee, independent committee to be set to look into this mass cancellation of results. These are the 2 recommendations that I want from government or Ministry of Education to make sure that WAEC does the right thing for our boys.
And as we conclude, my message to all Ghanaians today